Williams. I pastor Bates Memorial Baptist Church. It's right up the road. I've been there for 30 years as the pastor. I used to live in Smoketown for 12 years. I've been a member of that church for 33 years. Everybody, can you hear me? Yeah. I don't have to use mic. You can keep the mic.
I can hear you clearly.
I was sharing with them that I wanted to go ahead and speak now because I know the architect is going to come and you guys are going to break up into groups, and I will be of much use in the groups afterwards given my disposition and opinion about where we are now in the process. We've had some members of our church who've been with the process from the beginning, and I have some real grave concerns, have nothing to do with the architect we were hired by, so I have some real grave concerns about the project. They're here to talk about designs. For me, the best design would be the designs that every other community that has that it would be underground. That is the ideal design. They mentioned another design. I think it was Butchertown, and the gentleman who did it I went to seminary with, he mentioned Butchertown. For what I understand, the reason why Butchertown is above ground is because of the river. That it's not structurally possible to do it below ground. But for what I understand about our project, there are no environmental limitations. There's nothing that mandates it being done underground. Now, the thing that concerns me the most is not necessarily that it's on top of the ground, because if that was necessary, that would be fine. But what concerns me, at being a former resident of Smoketown and being a person who's worked in this community and loved this community for all of my adult life, even though I'm not from here for 33 years, is that every other project had it underground, and then when it was time to have it here in Smoketown, there was no environmental reasons why. There were no residents who insisted that it be on top. So my question is, the question that was raised in my mind, then why is it that when it gets to Smoketown, if there are no mitigating circumstances for it being underground, why was Smoketown chosen for it to be above ground? Now, I have members who are part of the process from the beginning, and part of what was expressed to them at one point in the process was when someone asked about it, the rationale seemed to them was that it was put above ground because that kind of structure, they're used to it in Smoketown, in areas like this. And some of you remember that being said. For me, it sounds like they mean that that's good enough for Smoketown. Now, again, for me, if there's no reason why it should be above ground, except that we're used to it in Smoketown, for me, that's not a good enough reason to have it above ground. I've been told that they're too far along to change it. And they say, well, and the options are, since they're too far along to change it, either, let's get in on the design, or you won't get a chance to participate in design. Well, that's the options that were given, but those are not the only options as far as I'm concerned. Another feasible option is for MSD to bring back a plan that puts the basin underground. Now, in my opinion, when we are told that we don't have that option, that it's not possible to do it, it does not mean it is not possible with regard to construction. We built a multi-million-dollar facility. What it means is it means that Smoketown residents are not worth the additional time and resources. And that's not acceptable to me either. I understand that there was some savings that came from the project, a couple $1 million from the project, but there's your seed money right there to go right back into that ground. We will wait, and we will help and support an effort to go underground where it should be. As far as I'm concerned, to decorate this structure above ground is a slap in the face of this community. And it is not acceptable to me. I hope it's not acceptable to you. It's not acceptable to me And you can't decorate an insult. And I don't want to walk out of Base Memorial Baptist Church after having fought and worked in this community for this long and have to see something that is a constant reminder that the residents of this community have been disenfranchised, have been disrespected and devalued because we have not been considered to be treated just like every other community. And I'm not asking for anything more, nor am I asking for anything less. The mayor says that Louisville is a city of compassion. Well, if we're a compassionate city, then we should show compassion to the people who are in the poorest zip code in Jefferson County. My suspicion is that the reason why this community was done that way is because people expect us to roll over and play dead. Well, you can choose what you want to do, but I'm not rolling over, and I'm not dead. So I'll be talking to the mayor again, CEO again, city councilors again, and any council person who's running for office or is in office, any leader in this community, any community person who's holding any position, if you are not for our community having what other communities have, then I'm confused about why you're in public office. People in public office serve us. And I'm glad that brother brought up the fact that our money paid for this project, which means I have a stake in this project because I paid for MSD. And I am not prepared to accept that the only option we have is to accept a mistake that they have done. And so I'm not going to do it. And I would encourage everyone who feels that way to make yourself known. I'll meet with anybody who wants to meet, but this is not acceptable to me. I feel insulted, I'm frustrated, and I'm angry because there is no reason why people in Smoketown cannot have what they have in Hurstbourne or anywhere else. We put up with a lot, but I'm done. The line is drawn in the dirt. I don't want this to happen anymore to our community. Somebody needs to listen to what we're saying. We're not asking for any more, but we don't want any less. And so what we ought to be pushing for, if you really care about the community, and I'm assuming you do, what we ought to be pushing for is finding a way to correct this mistake. Someone explained to me, they said, well, we made some mistakes. MSD has admitted that they made some mistakes early on, and now we're just kind of stuck away at the point of no return. Well, the problem with that is if that's true, there's two things that's the problem, and then I'm finished. Two things that are a problem with that. One, it's your mistake, but we got to live with it. And I can't accept that. The other thing is the way it's characterized. That is, that we tried and we reached out to the community and we didn't get the proper input, so we didn't know. Well, it is obvious that if every other community got a basin below grade, and ours didn't, and there are no environmental reasons, and there's no community input, then they plan to put it up above ground from the very beginning, which means it's an insult from the very beginning. And listen, Smoketown residents, it will continue as long as we allow it to happen. We are worthy of more than they're giving us. What they ought to do is bring back a plan that says, this is how we can provide for you what we have provided for other citizens in this city. That's what I'm looking for. So if there's a work group for that, I'm all for that. But if there's not one for that, I'll be talking to some people about the work group that I want to be in. And if you want to be in that work group, you can come see me. Thank you.